some of the top reasons why we overspend is because we lack self-discipline. Some of us just can't stop impulse buying or impulse spending. We're also impacted by social norms, and some of us spend money basically because we are emotional spenders. And some of us are just downright addicted to shopping, addicted to spending money. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about some of the ways that we can combat overspending, because it's a huge problem and it really impacts our budgets. And so if that is something that you're here for, then go ahead and stay tuned. If this is your very first time here, my name is Jasmine, aka Budget Treasures, and here on my channel I talk about all things finance with the emphasis on budgeting, saving money, and paying off debt. If that is something that you enjoy, I really encourage that you subscribe to the channel. And if you are a returning bestie, hey girl, hey. All right guys, let's get into it. How can you overcome a spending addiction? This is something that I've definitely had to do a lot of work with, and I'm still doing the work today. So I just want to share some of the things that I have done that have helped me to stop overspending. These are things that I do have to go back to and just kind of refresh myself, even when I feel like I am going to the space where I could possibly start overspending again. It's almost like, you know, like a real addiction, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. So the very first thing that I had to do is I had to take a look at my past. Sometimes I think that we fail to do the work to see why we overspend money, to see why we spend the way that we do spend. I know for me, the reason for my overspending, especially spending outside of my budget, was definitely connected to trying to fit in, or you know, those social norms that I talked about earlier, just trying to keep up with the Joneses when I didn't even know who the Joneses were, okay? But I just got to a point where I wanted to have more than I needed because that made me feel secure. As a child, I have we all have two parents, right? I have a parent who's really great with spending, and then I have another parent who is not so great with spending. And so sometimes I take after that parent, and I use money sometimes to show how I am secure. I use money to show people how much I love them, or, you know, like my child. And then I think that there was a time where I thought having certain things or spending a certain amount of money on something would, you know, increase my social status. And that was something that was important to me. But I had to dig deep to find out why was that. Oops, my earring came out. Okay, come on earrings. I just need you just for this video. Just come on, just for the video. Just for the video. We almost done, okay? But I had to do the work to see why that was so important to me. What was I missing in my life to where what others thought of me, people who didn't even know me or I didn't even know them, why was it important for me, or why was it important that they felt a certain way about me? So that was some work that I had to do. And thank you, Jesus, I could care less in this world. I do not care what anybody thinks about me, because nobody's paying my bills. And one of the things that I have learned in life is that sometimes we cram after the opinions of people who aren't even living in that way themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like if I want to look a certain way to someone financially, like I want to seem like I have it all together, and I want to seem like I have it together for someone who doesn't even have it together themselves, which it doesn't even make sense. So I really had to do that work, and it has helped me in that one aspect. And so I really encourage, you know, if you need to get counseling, that you seek out counseling, because you have to do that work in order for you to understand why you spend the money the way that you spend it. The next thing that I did, or another thing that I did, is I implemented a reward system. So we know that sometimes saving money, paying off debt, paying our bills on time, monthly, sometimes those things can be laborious and they can be not fun. They can be boring, and just, you know, doing that and being responsible isn't the funnest thing to do always. This is one reason why I had to fall in love with the process of doing that. But what I did was I implemented a reward system. So what that means is, once I set the reward system for myself. So for an example, once I pay off $5,000 worth of debt, then I will reward myself with this item that I want. Or once I save $5,000, then I'll reward myself with another item that I want. That way, it motivates me to get the job done so that I can reward myself. And it also even gives me time to think, do I even want that item that I've been waiting for, because time has passed? So implementing a reward system has 100% been successful, because I'm excited trying to get to that reward, but I've already done something financially that I needed to do that's going to propel me forward. So if you haven't tried it, I really encourage that you implement a reward system for yourself. The next thing that I've done, which also works, is I have saved for future purchases, or saved for things that I wanted. And that is by basically having sinking funds. So if there's something that I want, or if there's a trip I want to go on, or if there's a bottle of perfume that I want, or what have you, I'll save a little bit over time, so that when it's time to purchase that item, I can purchase it guilt-free, and it's not going to come out of my budget, or I'm not going to not pay a bill or pay off debt or anything like that in order to purchase this item. And then also, once again, there would have been time passed, and when it's time for me to purchase that item, when it's time for me to give up that money that I worked so hard to save for, I'll decide, even at that point, do I really want to spend this money on this or not? And sometimes 50% of the time, you end up just not spending money on that item. But then, you know, sometimes you do reward yourself for saving, and you go and purchase that item. So if you have not tried sinking funds before, I really encourage that you do that. And basically, if you don't know what sinking funds are, it's saving a little bit over time to pay a future expense. And so you can do that with luxuries, or with maybe like annual bills or quarterly bills or anything like that. So I really encourage that you try it if you haven't already. Another thing that I've done is joined support groups. I think that it is really valuable to have accountability partners, but then also to join support groups like Facebook groups, or even a community like on social media, if that's YouTube or Instagram. Some of these groups where you can be supported even when you feel like you want to spend money outside of the budget, or you want to spend money which is like overspending on something, then you can refer back to that support group and say, hey, you guys, this is what I'm dealing with. And then you have those people who will encourage you to keep being strong and not overspending and not falling into that addiction again. And so I really encourage that you join these support groups. And if you're afraid to join the support group, then at least follow people on Instagram, or follow people on YouTube, any social media platform, even if it's like TikTok, who are kind of doing the same things that you are doing, which is pursuing not overspending, they're budgeting, they're saving, because that also is an encouragement to you. And so that is something that I have done and have found it to be very, very, very valuable. The next thing is kind of big. You want to avoid temptation. That is very important, especially for someone who's addicted to spending money. Stay off of the websites, girl. Unsubscribe. I say it all the time. Unsubscribe from the emails. Make sure that you are not just trying to pass through time and you're looking on social media. Get out of TikTok shop. No more window shopping. Try your very best not to tempt yourself into purchasing anything. You know, even when you go to like Target or Walmart or any store, they're all now having those aisles where it has little trinkets there so that you can pick something up and purchase that thing as you're in line to purchase the stuff that you've already gotten. Kind of trick yourself and just say, like, I've said this to myself before, so you guys don't think I'm crazy. Don't think I'm crazy. But it worked. So I've said internally, so you think CEO Target or whomever is sitting there and you think that I am going to fall for you putting this stuff on this in the area where I'm going to pay for my items, and I'm not going to fall for your trick, because it is a psychological thing of the reason why you put the items here, because you know that as humans we're just gonna pick it up and buy it. But I'm smarter than that and I already know what you're doing, and I'm not gonna fall for it. I know that probably sounds crazy, but if we already know why it's there and the point is for us to spend more money, they don't care that you're overspending. They don't care that you are not paying a bill in order to entice you to buy these things that now they have put in the aisleways. They don't care. They want to make more money. So you're not going to make more money off of me while I pad your pocket, right? So that's just kind of something that I do. But yes, avoid temptation. If you are one of those people who just can't go into the store, order online. Unsubscribe. I'm telling you, because these retailers, they will email you and text you every single day. And you'll be like, oh, this is on sale. Oh, this is on sale. So try to avoid temptation at all costs. Also, the next thing, avoid triggers. If you know what triggers you, try to already have something to combat that trigger. So for some people, if they are not feeling well or they're, emotionally sad or something like that, they'll eat. For others of us, we'll shop because we believe that it's going to make us feel better if we shop. And so understand and recognize what those triggers are. And this kind of goes back to like the counseling. And once you know what that trigger is, then you can already have something in place so that when that trigger is triggered, you're not just going to go spending money. You're going to do whatever it is that you put in place to stop yourself from spending. Prayer can be one of them. If you feel, sad or down or whatever emotion causes you to overspend, then if you are a believer, you can go right into prayer and you can ask God to remove that feeling and remove that addiction from you. If exercising is for you, then instead of you going in your wallet, you just say, you know what, I'm gonna go take a walk or I'm gonna go run. If you calling someone to tell them exactly what you're feeling and what you're going through so that they can help you not to overspend, then do that. You have to do definitely what works for you, but I really encourage for you to identify those triggers and have something in place so that you're not gonna go spend money and overspend. The next thing is one of my faves, and that is to use cash only, especially for the scenario when you're in the store and you're purchasing your items and you're in the checkout line and they have those, filler filler items that they want you to buy on the side. If you're only using cash, you only got so much money. You only got so much cash. So, of course, if you're using cash, then you're giving yourself a limit. And so I would really encourage you, that is one of the things that have helped me tremendously, like tremendously, to stop overspending, is to give myself a budget, and I take that cash out of the bank, and I am only using cash when I'm shopping for groceries, when I'm shopping for household items and personal items as well. Even if you're gonna go shop for like a birthday gift or anything like that, give yourself a budget, take that money out of the bank, and then take that physical cash and you can go purchase the gift. So then that way you're not overspending on gifts, or if you're going out to eat, you're not overspending at the restaurant. You're like, okay, I got $50. Boom. $50. You have your phone, you got your calculator, and you make sure, you know, with the tip included, that you're going to be able to pay for that meal. So I really encourage that you use cash if you haven't tried it, because it is a humongous help. The next thing that you may need to do is change your environment. I hate to say it, but some of us are in some environments where people are really materialistic. Like, it's crazy. It's so funny. Not too long ago, a little bit of a 2.5 story time. Not too long ago, I was speaking with an old friend, like old friend, and hadn't talked to them, and it's been years, okay? And the first question that they had was, okay, so what's going on? Like, what kind of new car do you have? And, you know, all of these materialistic questions. And I was like, oh, girl, child, I don't do car notes. Okay. I was very confident because I've done the work, right? I've removed myself from that environment. And my response was, girl, what kind of question is that? What kind of car do I have? Like, why does all of that matter? But that was the environment that I was in. Very materialistic, just bad, okay? And so you may have to remove yourself from that environment. If people are always talking about things that don't matter, like clothes, shoes, purses, jewelry, hair, just all kind of stuff that just does not add to your life. No, they don't talk about purchasing land or homes or investing. You know, those aren't the kind of questions or conversations that they're having. They're having these conversations that keep you depleted of money. And so if that is you, I really encourage that you change your environment. It helped me tremendously. And we just, yeah, anyway. Moving on to the next thing. So next would be to track your expenses. It's just something about pen to paper and writing things down. When you track your expenses, you're able to see really how much money you're spending, and it will definitely help you to pull back, because it is a real moment with yourself. And if you know, have a spouse, and of course with your spouse, and you're just writing and you're seeing how much money you're actually spending. Some people try to get out of the paper and pen part, and they're like, oh, well, I could just track it on my bank app, or I could just track it on my phone. That might not work for you. And I think, you know, for those people, that's just an excuse of not to actually be honest with yourself in the spending that you're doing. You need to sit down. You need to write out what you're spending, because it's a whole different experience. Let me tell you, it's different for you to write it out. You know what I mean? So I really encourage, if you haven't tried tracking your expenses, to do it. It's definitely life-changing. It will help you to not be so addicted, because you're just not going to be happy with the outcome if you're seeing time after time after time that you're overspending in your finances. So try it if you haven't. And that is pretty much everything. These are the things that I have done and that I continually do to help myself to not be addicted to spending. It's something that I will say, kind of, I don't really struggle with it, but I can see at times where I'll be triggered, and I will have to remind myself that overspending is not who I am anymore. I'm not an overspender, okay? So So I hope that these have been helpful for you. If you have any suggestions or tips on how you can stop overspending, or how anybody can stop their spending addiction, please leave it down in the comments, because I really want us to get past this. 2025 is coming, and it's important that we do better. You know, it's important that I do better, and that we all do better, and we can do that by helping each other. So I want us to be that support group. I want us to be that community where we can come and we can refer back here, and we can help one another out. So please leave down in the comments if you guys have any other tips, tricks. Oh, excuse me, honey. If you have any other tips or tricks that can help us to overcome our spending addictions. So that is pretty much everything, besties. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video. Go be great. Peace out.